Day 7 begins. I'm leaving the hotel that I probably stayed at for less than 12 hours. And the other cabin I'm staying at won't let me check in until like 2 o'clock or something like that. So I have a few hours to kill. I honestly don't remember why I stopped at the corner store this morning, but I do remember talking to the clerk this day. And I guess it rained last night pretty bad. So I'm pretty happy that I had a place to stay out of the rain for a change. There's really not much to do around here except go to Mackinac City, which I'm trying to avoid doing that. So I ended up going out to the state park over here, and it's kind of like the most northwest point you can go in the Lower Peninsula, anyways. And it's beautiful out here, but I'll tell you what, it is really, really cold and miserable out here today, and I'm already quite cold from the ride, and really kind of looking forward to a place I can kind of warm up. But I'm not going to miss this opportunity to check out this cool beach. And again, it's beautiful, but it is just a misty, windy, horrible day. And I wonder why my GoPros aren't working so good anymore. There's only so many places to explore around here because it's a state park and it's pretty well groomed. Even though, I mean, it's like tight wilderness, but they keep everybody pretty well maintained on trails and stuff. So it's kind of hard to find places to explore. When I got on the road, I found a little sidetrack thing that I kind of explored for a minute, but it kind of bogged down into a swamp pretty quickly. So turning around from there, I hopped back on the tarmac and was exploring for some other places that were kind of off the beaten path. I found this spot. And a couple locals came around on their own little scooters that they had. I think there were a couple of ruckuses, or rucki, or however you want to say it. And they were saying this is kind of like the locals' beach. I think they called it, some people called it Beach Number 2 or High Beach. It's actually neat. The wind here surprisingly really wasn't that bad. Even on the other side of the berms there by the water, it was actually much more calm and still than that other point. But even with that being nicer over here, quote unquote nicer, I was freezing. So I shot back on the tarmac and went to see if I could get into my cabin early. And luckily, Richie was a really nice guy, and the dude had already left, and he just had to straighten up the room a little bit to let me in. Warm up fireside. Even though the fire is a gas fire, it's still a fire nonetheless. And this was kind of cool. I noticed right away when you sit on the bed and look out the windows, all you can see is water and that landmass off in the distance through the mist. And I thought it was kind of cool. So yeah, the place is a little drafty. It's a little old, but you're also like right on top of this beautiful lake. As the day got warmer, luckily the wind calmed down, and it actually became pretty decent out. Went back to the corner store and got price gouged for a $12 pizza that I could have probably got from a regular store for like $7. But the nearest place, other than this, would have been like going to a gas station, which was about 10 miles away, which wouldn't have been too bad, or going once again to Mackinac City and back, which I think round trip is like a half an hour, 45 minutes. So I will pay the locals and buy the cheap, expensive pizza. There really wasn't any plan when I came to Carp Lake other than to come to Carp Lake, kind of get some rest and just kind of clean up or fix anything that may need to be fixed on the Super Cub while I was here. And luckily, there was nothing to be fixed, just basic maintenance stuff. I was lucky also to find a garden hose to kind of give the Super Cub a little bit of a bath before taking everything apart, which really just consisted of taking off the shifter lever and the front cover for the sprocket to get access to that, because I haven't really done any maintenance to that, and I'm sure it's well overdue. Honestly, that's kind of how it normally looks, I guess, except a little stick. Yeah, last couple times I did chain. Well, yeah, last 2 times I did it twice so far. I really just straighten the chain and clean things out a little bit without taking this piece off. So, she's a little crunchy. As the rest of maintenance went, that was pretty much it. Just clean up some stuff. Marie, when she dropped some stuff off yesterday, she also gave me a brand new thing of spray wax, so I could, maintain the chain properly, and just some other things I had to clean up with my tools, which is really just sharpening my knife. Yeah, and if you use a ceramic cup, the bottom of it's not glazed, and it makes a great kind of sharpening stem. After talking to the owner, Richie, he let me borrow this book, which is kind of about the history of Carp Lake. And like most of the starting points of anything in Michigan, it started off with lumber. And once you have all the trees gone and all the money is kind of gone with the boom, the next thing you do, I guess, around here is you cut and sell ice, which I thought was kind of interesting and a creative solution for running out of the resources of lumber. Some of the photos and stuff I have in here, I'm not going to have much explanation for. It just was some of the names of the buildings and roads and whatnot kind of repeat and kind of show you how things have changed. And even though some of the buildings and the stores aren't really the same as what they were, they kept a lot of the same names, which I thought was kind of interesting. You'll see more illustrated here as I go on. The Mackinac Bridge is quite a thing. If you guys aren't from Michigan or know Michigan, Michigan is two peninsulas, an upper one and a lower one, and they're not connected until they put the bridge in the 60s or 70s. And I love this little girl dressed as a Morton Salt can. It seems like the last kind of like economic boom of the area is it was like the mid 70s when they built the fire department, which hasn't really changed since because this photo I took when I was there. And here's the Indian Art Gift Shop is now the restaurant, which I thought was kind of weird. And it's at the end of Gill Road, which used to be just this, split of where the lake was. And that's the only restaurant around, and it was only open on the weekend. And of course, it was the only one day that Maria was there, and I was just kind of stuck at the mercy of the one corner store. And this should look pretty familiar. This is actually the cabins I'm staying at right now. The front porches had to be rebuilt because the lake just kind of eroded them. But as you can tell, the lumber is still the original thinner timbers that these were actually made from a lot of the local wood that they just kind of bucked and built. So I thought that was kind of cool. As you can see, actually, the day became quite beautiful as it got a little warmer out, but still a little breezy. One thing I really liked about this place is not only the pine inside, but how it's kind of almost shaped like a barrel. But it's getting cold in there, and it's because the one gas-powered heater no longer works anymore. So I've got this electric one, and I'm using the gas stove as well to keep the place warm while I'm here. That's the nice thing about having a small cabin. It's not hard to heat.
Alright. Oh, hey. On-camera action.
So this was supposed to be a shot of me and the owner trying to troubleshoot why the little heater thing wasn't working. However, I thought I had turned the camera off here when I actually just turned it on. So, that's all I got left for food. Actually, that left, I picked some up in the corner store. A couple of tins of smoked salmon, a couple things of butter that I liberated from Luzerne, about a dozen or so hashers of bacon, sugar and coffee packet thing, which I don't take sugar in my coffee, I just figure it'll add some calories. About 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things of oatmeal left, and like $127 or something to last me 5 days from here to Midland, which I also have I think at least one more chicken flavored thing bag and a rice bag thing, kind of like civilian MRE kind of stuff, in the duffel bag here. And then I also have some foodstuffs I always keep on the cub, which would probably be enough for a day-ish. So realistically, even without the money, I kind of have enough food, kind of. And I was going to kind of end the episode there because it was kind of the end of this day, and I didn't really do much because, like I said, there really wasn't much to do for coming to Carp Lake except to come here. That was the whole plan from the conception of this idea, I guess, which was, a couple of years ago when you think about it, when I very first bought the Super Cub, and then I had to transform it and get all the gear and maps and everything together to get up here. And the 7 days that preceded getting here, day one leaving and making it up to my brother and sister-in-law's place, we talked about motorbikes and adventures and trails and stuff. And from there, I hopped onto the Sterling Truck Trails, which was kind of the main route out of lower Michigan to northern Michigan. And the weather was definitely not nice. I mean, even though, in a sense it was, because the trails are incredibly sandy, so having wet sand is much better than having dry sand, so I guess I had that going for me. Then, of course, all the camps on the way. Some were more fun than others.
Something.
And I was on a lot more tarmac than I was hoping to be on, but, you know, I knew it was going to happen from time to time. Though having the country roads that were, you know, more utilized than like the back roads issued some problems with the rain that I wasn't expecting. Vision was a real issue. Kind of like what you're seeing now through the lens of the GoPro is very much what I have vision-wise through my helmet. The visors would just get all mucked up and horrible to the point where you just were riding pretty much blind, or at least what it would be like to, I'm assuming, to have glaucoma. So, on this trip, I also had some other adventures like camping in a cedar swamp, which really was kind of horrible, but also at the same time one of my absolute favorite times of this adventure, which sounds kind of silly, but it was just so unique and so different that most people will never understand what it's like to ride on a road of broken sticks and twigs into a swampy marsh area in a rainy, horrible, like, just environment. And it was, I want to say it was like 37 degrees out that day. But either which way, it was an interesting time, and also thinking about all this stuff made me think of why does a person like myself decide to do this? And I think it has something to do with this goofy little cabin here that's kind of painted this banana yellow taffy look. It was my old family cabin, and I think I'm going to talk a lot more about that in my next episode. I'm going to leave you now with a shot of my first morning on Carp Lake. And if you liked this and are interested about the stories to come, please like and subscribe, and I guess I'll talk to y'all then. Take care.